Poultney's 4th of July plans were postponed due to massive storm damage. On the 3rd, a severe thunderstorm pushed into the area, delivering high winds and hail. Now that the storm has passed and electricity is back on, folks are pitching in to help one another clean up. Driving into Poultney, some may not realize just how bad the recent storm damaged part of town.
Mainly wind damage, trees, no infrastructure damage, which is amazing, and also no personal injury that we're aware of. So that's truly amazing. But people's homes were individually affected, and cars and so on, through falling trees hitting homes and so on. There was a couple barns that were blown apart, a lot of damage on Finnell Hollow, Highland Gray. They were hit pretty hard.
The National Weather Service in Burlington confirmed with PEGTV that from radar, eyewitness accounts, and damage that a microburst topping 80 miles an hour is likely responsible for the destruction. Despite Mother Nature's wrath, the friendly townspeople of Poultney rallied together just after the storm swept through to help with cleanup and making sure neighbors were all right.
The great thing was, I was here, I think it was around 6 o'clock, I'm not exactly sure when it hit. And I was getting ready to leave, and then we had that rain and hail and wind, and then it kind of slowed down, but then it picked up again. I would say within an hour, I had been around a few places. I had spoken to the fire department chief, Tim Kerber. They were set up over at the firehouse. I was making calls, and I must have had contractor after contractor after local contractor just stop and see me. What can we do? Tell me where you want me to go, and so on. That was fantastic. That was great.
It wasn't just contractors turning out to help. Green Mountain Power reported sending 30 crews out, 15 tree contractors, and 30 to 40 support personnel. With attention to cleanup top priority, Poultney decided this year to forego July 4th festivities, a decision not easy to make.
Well, also the question is, where were you when the storm hit? And I was right here at the town office making photocopies of the parade lineup. And I'd already stuck them into my car, and I'd gone back to see if Jonas needed something. And that's when the storm hit, right before I drove the parade lineup over to the fire department. And it was there, and I was like, well, maybe I should wait this one out. And then all of a sudden I couldn't see my car because of the wind and the hail and the rain. And yeah, and then I did make it over to the fire department, cut through a few down power lines. And they were not there because, they were out and about helping the people. So I immediately got on the phone with some magicians and started seeing, well, what does Saturday look like for you? What does next weekend look like for you? Just to see. And, I was starting to line things up, but it became clearer and clearer that this was no ordinary storm or no ordinary postponement. And once we really saw exactly what was going down, we started to make the decision like, oh, maybe it's not going to happen this year. Perhaps our volunteers are a little exhausted. So slowly we came to this, because it's really hard. We do this every year. I've done it personally, I think, for the last 7 years, or this would have been my 7th. And it's a hard thing to come to terms with.
Lee and Rosenthal both say there was a silver lining in the aftermath of the storm.
I think the townspeople came through. The church in East Poultney were providing dinners and lunches for a couple days to folks, and like I said, people are just neighbor helping neighbor, and you couldn't get any better.
Just a couple miles north and a couple miles south, it was totally beautiful and fine. But here, everybody was out on the street, helping out, sweeping what they could if they didn't have big branches to move. Yeah, it was devastated, but it was a great chance for us to see the community get together and help out in this quiet understanding of like, wow, we just went through some heavy stuff, and thankfully there were no real injuries to report. We did all right. It's a mess, but we can clean up a mess.